Hello and welcome along to the start of a brand new season from this FM20 story from Dorking Wanderers with me, Daniel. It's season 14, episode 1, and I think it's fair to say that this is the mother of all transfer specials. It is an absolute bonanza, a feast of massive signings, and I don't think we're going to top this in any of our saves for the rest of the year. So you can hold me to that one as we go along, but we have got so much to talk about. There's a few little sneak previews about little things on the manager performance screen you can see there, and one doubtful player who you won't recognise the name of, or may do if you're very eagle-eyed. But we'll go and talk about all of those transfers in a moment. We're going to talk about the squad that we've put together and what we're aiming to do this season, and then we'll prepare our tactic for the Manchester City game. The next episode then on Monday will be the first two games of the season. City at home, Southampton away. No easy start this time. We've got Tottenham, Wolves, Everton, and then one of the other big six in our first 7 or 8 games. So we're very much getting tested early on, and we've got a lot of new players who of course may take a little while to gel. So we'll come back to all of that. But firstly, before we go and look at the transfer screen, a massive thank you to everyone who continues to support the series. If you are looking forward to this one and a transfer bonanza, please do put a thumbs up on the video. Let me know down in the comments what you think's going to happen, what you think the biggest signing's going to be, where do you think we're going to finish this year? There's so many questions to be answered. And based on our end of season review on Wednesday, how many of those 12 or 13 will have left the club? If you are looking forward to it, please do put a thumbs up on the video. And if you haven't already and you don't want to miss any of this season or any of the content on the channel, please do subscribe down below and turn those notifications on. You'll get alerts as all videos release and when we go live every Tuesday morning for our stream series. We're having a really great time creating content at the moment and I hope you're enjoying it just as much. Thank you also for your support over on the podcast channel. We've been interviewing loads of professional footballers at all different levels of the game, and your support on that has been incredible. It has really gone through the roof the last few weeks. So thank you so much. I'm having a wonderful time. Now let's go and talk about a proper transfer special. We'll start as we always do with the release players. And this year, it's only one. Chukwuma Sale, who we had on a free transfer a couple of years ago, never really developed, so he's managed after a couple of loan spells to find himself a club, Leyton Orient, who are League 2? League 1. So that's not bad at all. He's a backup left back at League 1 level. And to be fair, at 20, with his poor personality, he hasn't improved too badly. So let's go back one more screen. There's a few deals potentially pending, which we'll talk about in a moment, particularly for youngsters going out to Staines, our feeder club. But let's talk about the big ones. We have spent, after a late flurry, £138 million. We have recouped 43, including a couple of really big sales and a couple of first teamers leaving the club. So there is an awful lot to get through, as you can see. We've also managed to get one key player back in on loan again, and we've also managed to get that free agent who we teased in the last episode. So we'll talk about all of that. There's a couple of previous targets there too, and a couple of big deals that could help the future of this club. So a lot of these players you're seeing here on the left, I'm hoping will be here till the end of the save now, as we make our big step up trying to make it to European level. But let's talk about the outs first. First is a fairly big one. Daniel Gilroy went to Crystal Palace. Now this one I could do early because I knew that this guy, Ladari, was coming in from River Plate on a free. At number 10, we had our backup. We can get rid of Daniel Gilroy. He's gone to Crystal Palace for 6.75 million, a decent servant for us, an okay backup player a couple of years, and don't forget we got him on a free before. So what a deal that turned out to be. After a free agent deal, a couple of okay backup years, and then off for 6.5 million. Fantastic work. Decan Weir, we mentioned, was leaving. We couldn't get him to agree a new deal, and he pre-agreed a deal with Chesterfield. They got relegated back to League 1 last season, as we saw in the end of year review, and he's had a very good start to this season with them. He's one who I think still could make Premier League level. A decent player, we didn't really want him to go. Paddy Bowers has gone out on loan. He's one of the young players that we signed for a cheap deal. In fact, probably the only one this summer. So he's gone out on loan, but we'll look at him on the ins. Daniel Jesus Alonso, we signed a couple of years ago. Got him in for 35,000. Had a loan spell at Luton and MK Dons. Didn't really improve. So he's gone to Northampton in League 1 for £150,000. I'm sure he'll do all right there. Next, another fairly big one. Jamie O'Neill had dropped down to third choice striker. Of course, we got Coppens in January and we still had Prescott here. Both wonder kids, so we couldn't have O'Neill as well. He's gone off to Sporting Kansas City, had a lot of interest from the MLS, but they offered £4 million for him, and that's a good deal for a young player. So for £4 million, he's gone to America. And again, after signing him for just under 1 million, we've made a huge profit. 3 more of the young strikers we signed on free agent deals next. So Daniel Allison, after 2 years at the club, one of them in the backups, one of them on loan at Wrexham, has gone to Championship Wigan for £500,000. Was injured in pre-season, but is back now, and we wish him the best for the future, but there's not much to say about these guys. Stuart Settle again, improved to a balanced personality and did improve slightly, but was never going to make it at the top level. So after 2 loan spells out in League 1 and 2, both of which he was fairly prolific, he's now gone to Plymouth in League 1, a well-supported club, 450,000. I do owe Plymouth fans a huge debt of gratitude. I mentioned the podcast earlier. We interviewed one of their players, Anthony Sarcevic, and it's got about 1,000 views. It has gone absolutely nuts. The Plymouth fans have been exceptional with it, so thank you if you're a Plymouth fan watching. But let's move on. Tyrese Holland. He's gone to Preston for 1.2 million. I sort of wanted him to make it, but it was becoming more and more apparent that he didn't quite have Premier League quality. Every signing was a little bit better than him, and as it stands, he's going to be a very good player in League 1. Probably a decent Championship one if he takes Preston up as well. But a goal in his first 2 after 30 goals in 2 years at Mansfield, and he's a very good player and one I'll keep an eye on in the future. Apologies if I'm rushing through these quite quickly. You can of course pause the video and take a look at them in more detail and their career stats, but I want to get to the ends. I'm very excited today. Thomas Betts has gone out on loan. He was the young centre-half we got from United on a free last year. Played some cup games, improved his personality. Now he needs football. So we've got in some big centre-halves. Mitchell Baker came back on loan and we got one more in as well. And that means Thomas Betts can go to Tranmere and he hopefully will have a good season there. Joe Wilson, tried to sell him again, couldn't get a deal. He's gone on loan to Bristol Rovers. Had one loan spell there last season and he's back again this year. So good League 1 football for him. And again, I'm sure he'll have a decent year. And hopefully he'll do well enough for them to sign him on a free after. Then we get to the loan deals. So a couple of big ones this year. Matthew Porteous, who did sign a new deal, has now gone on loan to Brentford. They are paying all of his wages and us 60 grand a month, which means 750 grand over the year. A fantastic deal, probably slightly less than that as it is only 11 months. But after 74 league appearances for us, this is make or break for him. At 24, he has to play there, he has to do well, and he has to make an impact and improve, or he'll be sold on next summer. But Matthew Porteous, a very good player, we wish him the best in the Championship. Colin Petrucci's next, he's gone to Cardiff on loan, 100 grand a month in loan fees. He started their first Championship game and he's getting paid their full 5 grand a week at their club. He's now natural at left back as well, so really good improvement versatility wise. Did get an England under 21 cap and he's starting to improve off the pitch attribute wise already. So 73 appearances for us, another one where this year's make or break. He either comes back and is the backup head of Lewis James, or he comes back, he's not as good, he gets sold on. One of those two will happen. 3 more to go before the deadline. You can see the biggest one saved till last. First, third choice keeper Mark Ball. He's gone to Sunderland for 1.2 million. Had loan spells the last 2 years at Barnsley and Bristol City. A good keeper, signed as a Championship backup, and not good enough to be a Premier League one. So he's now first choice at a big League 1 club. Had 2 loan spells where he did alright in the Championship. Did okay for us at that level as well, by the way. And after signing him for 100 grand, we loaned him out for 600 last year and then sold him for over $1 million. Another brilliant deal financially. And last of the smaller ones, Kain Allen on deadline day. So one of those 2 big signings was a left back, and simply Kain Allen was free to move on. So 2 million up front, $500,000 to be added on, and we're paying a couple of grand a week in wages. But otherwise, a very average, good Championship player. And again, we've made a huge profit. We signed him as our backup left back when we came up to the Premier League 2 years ago. 145 grand from Aberdeen just to do a job. He ended up playing a few more games than we expected due to Diallo failing first year and Krizek's international problems the second one. And he's now been sold for over 2 million. So I mean, what more can you say? It's a brilliant deal. And again, a massive profit, financially very good for the club. Something that probably won't happen with these 5 down here. But last of all is Michael Stropper. Now you'll remember a few years back I said, are we going to regret paying £2.5 million for this guy? Well, we've just sold him for £25 million and he's already worth more. So he has gone to Burnley, who I think came back up to the Premier League. They did. So he is their first choice goalkeeper. Made 111 league appearances for us. Was crucial in our Championship winning campaign and was crucial in keeping us up the last 2 years. But just started to decline, was gradually unhappy more and more of the time. Getting distracted every time there was a bid for him. So once we got the chance to get a brilliant goalkeeper in, and I mean truly brilliant, We knew Stropper's time was done. So he has gone to Burnley now. He is going to be a Premier League goalkeeper still. And we have managed to get 25 million in guaranteed money. So in my book, that is a brilliant achievement. A good goalkeeper, certainly not a great one, but a very good servant to our football club. So we've got time to take a breath now. Let me know in the comments what you think of those sales. Are there any huge shocks in there? Of course, I'm asking you to do that before the ins. So are there any you're thinking, surely he can't have replaced him? I know Stropper might be the obvious one, but is there anywhere else where you're a little bit suspicious? But as we say that, we will move on to the ins, and we've got 8 players to talk about. So the first 3 are all either well-known or cheap deals, or a youngster coming into the club. And then the last 5 is where we really went for targeted players. We said, this is the position we need to improve. Who is the best player we can realistically get in within a decent price range, within a wage structure, that can help take us to Europe and the next level? And that is what I believe we've done. So this year, it may be a bit harder. They've got to gel, they've got to bed in, some have got to learn the language, and we've got to get that dynamic right. And some of them are very young, they've got to improve still as well. But after that, I've got a feeling we're going to be competing for the top 6 or 7 every year. So let's take you through the players. First and foremost, I know he's not top of the list, but let's get him out the way. Mitchell Baker on loan from Chelsea. A 4th year in a row at the club, had 3 on loan, crucial in a championship winning campaign, and crucial the last 2 years as well. Very solid, very consistent, and again, just getting him in for his full wages. So 40 grand a week for a top Premier League player. How Chelsea aren't using him, I don't know, but they did win every competition last year, so I'm sure we can forgive them for that. But he's a very good player for us. He's a full England international, a regular starter, and he is our centre-half here at Dorking with a new partner this year. Then let's do the rest of the list in order. We've got Augustin Sanchez Ladowri first. He's the free agent from River Plate, who is rated by my assistant as the best player at the football club. 3.5 star ability, 3.5 potential, just dropped from 4 star after deadline day. He is a wonderful player. He's versatile, he's got flair, he's got all of that attacking South American ooze that you look for. Only on 45 grand a week and now worth 25 million. He's played for Rangers up in Scotland, so he knows a bit of the language, and he's played for Boca Juniors and River Plate. A very brave man to do both of them. But either way, a very good attacking midfielder. His personality perhaps slightly lets him down, but he has played at youth level for Argentina and now at 27 should be in his best years. He's got great flair, great passing technique, dribbling. Oh, he's got it all. Composure, agility, balance. He's a proper player. So he's competing with McLaughlin for the number 10 role, and the assistants all suggest that he should be starting. Then on to the one small for the future deal that we made. That was Paddy Bowers from Dungannon, a club that we managed at the start of FM19, the head coach, and got sacked by. £300,000, a good young Northern Irish keeper. His attributes just stood out. He's 1.5 star ability, 4 star potential. He's already played over 40 games in Northern Ireland. He's played in the Europa League 2 for his homegrown side, and he's back on loan there this season. That was part of the agreed deal. But at just 19 years of age, he seemed worth a punt. He's got all the key attributes: handling 14, reflexes 19, aerial reach 15, and everything else sort of 11, 12, 13. He's a very good goalkeeper, and we've just got to hope we can get the best out of him. So we'll keep an eye on that one for the future, and then we get into the big 5. So the first 2 names you may remember. One of them is Jerome Yonton. We mentioned him last summer in this very episode, season 13, episode 1, as we wanted to sign him from Wolves, but he rejected us for Villa. That at the time would have been about 10 million. Now we've paid 22.5. He's a box-to-box central midfielder, can also play in a holding role, which may be useful if we get to Europe in a year or two's time. He is a very good player. Physically, he's fantastic. He's good off the ball, he works hard. I mean, he's a classic British midfielder. Hasn't got the greatest technical ability in the world, but can run all day and is very willing. And that's all we can really ask for. He's played for Villa, Wolves, Chelsea, Birmingham and Vitesse. He's got a lot of experience across the board, and I'm sure he's going to be a very good player. So for £22 million, that's a decent deal in my book. Then on to another one you may remember, Kieran Pollock. Now the reason you might remember him is from the January transfer deadline day. He's one of the players that Lewis Hone, our director of football, put a bid in for, and at the time we weren't ready to do it. It was a bit short notice, but we kept scouting him, we kept an eye on him, and now in the summer we've signed him. Unfortunately, he's not fit for the City game, so we will miss him for the first day of the season, but after that we'll get a chance with him. So he's played for Celtic, St Mirren and Ross County in his career, has come from the Scottish Champions now. A fantastic player, 3-star ability, 3-star potential. Again, can play the holding role, very professional. and a big upgrade on James and the reason that Petrucci's gone out on loan. Again, physically, mentally very good. Defensively, solid. Maybe a little bit weak going forward, but that's not a huge problem in the future. It means we can tone the fullbacks back a bit. Again, both of those in the 50s for weekly wages, so fairly modest for Premier League level. And then we go on to a big signing. Gabriel Afonso from Corinthians, 28.5 million, which was his release clause. He is our new first choice goalkeeper. 20 years of age, 3.5 star ability, 5 star potential. The best paid player at the club on 78 grand a week. What a pro. 17 handling, 18 reflexes, big concentration, positioning, physically he's good. He's a wonder kid even though he's a keeper. And across the board you can already see he is a massive upgrade on Stropper. He's played for 2 clubs in Brazil, making 80 senior appearances already. He's playing for the Brazilian youth teams. And he's so good. I mean, this kid has to be the best. The only issue I've got is because we can't do the training facilities due to that silly little glitch, I presume it is at this point, we can't get them to their best. But either way, he's going to be very good. So we're delighted to have him here, and I hope he's going to be as good as we're expecting. 2 more to go. Cohen Mertens, the first of 2 big deadline day signings. He was one of 2 we were looking at. The other one was Tafazoli, so let me go and have a look at him. He was from Derby County. A very good young centre-half, playing for the England under-21s, but he didn't have quite as much potential, so we had to let this one go, and instead we got Cohen Martins, who wanted 20 grand less a week, and was costing us 5 less million. So Cohen Martins is a 22-year-old Dutch international centre-half, 3.5 star ability, 3.5 potential, 85 grand a week he's on. He is just a very solid centre-half across the board. Almost reminds me, if you go back maybe 10 years in FM, of someone like Johnny Heitinger, who just had sort of 14 or 15 for every attribute. I think his stats here are almost identical. He's still got a little tiny bit of improvement in him. He came through at PSV, but has played for Juventus and Everton, and is still a Premier League star now. And he is going to be a big player for us moving forward. So I'm keeping an eye on him, but he has come in and he's going to be a very good player for us. And then finally, most expensive of the bunch, Mazzino has come in from Brazil as well. Which club's he at? I can't work out what that is. Is that Santos? Presume it's Santos there. Let me know if I'm wrong. Mazzino, £40 million, a 20-year-old Brazilian wonder kid left back. Only on 45 grand a week, 3.5 star ability, 5 star potential. Again, very good attributes across the board. Got a lot of quality going forward as well. Can be a fullback on attack. Can do everything that you need in a wing-back as well. He is going to be a star. He suits us down to the ground. He's got lots of experience and he's going to be a Brazil international. We have got yet another wonder kid here at Dorking. Our scouts doing their job. The scouting team finally delivering. And I feel with those last 5 signings and the number 10 in particular, we have got a squad that can compete for Europe and be top end of the Premier League for years to come. We've got big sides here in Chelsea, Liverpool and United who are dominating English football. But can we get amongst them in a year or two with some of these youngsters? The one thing that's really holding us back is not being able to improve the training facilities, and I still can't work it out. But as it is, they are welcoming offers to the club, the new board, so maybe if he leaves and we get a new owner in, maybe they've got the objective to make the training facilities the best in the country and we can get it. That's the hope, the only thing we're crossing fingers for, and hopefully they won't sack us either. But overall, I think that's been an outstanding summer, and that's the squad it leaves us with. We've got 2 good players in every position. We've still got the likes of Barrett and Walker as backups. We've got Krizek from last year's first team. He'll be a backup, as will Lewis James on the other side. Peter McLaughlin, Aaron White might not even start this year. We're starting to build a squad that can compete in multiple facets in competitions. And that means that we can get into Europe. So I am pushing hard to get the 7th next year. The board had us down for relegation in pre-season. But what have those signings done to change that? Not a huge amount, but certainly something. So we are now predicted to finish 15th, still 1,000 to 1 with a few other sides, but that's a big step up. So I'm really impressed with that. They're starting to see Dorking as the side they are, which is a Premier League side. But we're going to be hoping for more than that. We want to be competing with Tottenham and Everton to try and squeeze in that top 7 and get ourselves some European football. And that is going to be the objective this season, though it may take a while for these lads to settle. If we finish on the dynamics so you can see how they look, the managerial support excellent, the dressing room atmosphere great, the team cohesion not bad for a team that have signed 8 key players. So we're going to keep an eye on that as the season goes on. It's going to be important for us. We've already set up mentoring groups and training individually, which we're going to look at as we go through the season too. But for now, it's all about Premier League football and trying to make our way up the ladder. If not, can we maybe go on a cup run, qualify for Europe that way, get to the end of a competition, get to a cup final, something that Dorking can put in the history books, as well as all the promotions we've achieved so far. And we will start to answer that question in the next episode on Monday. If we go to the schedule, we'll be showing 2 live games, the first ones of the season, at home to Manchester City, one of the big boys, and away to Southampton, a side that we should be getting a result against. Will our away form improve this year? Will we start slowly? There are so many questions to be answered, and I hope you'll join me next week to find out. If you did enjoy that transfer special though, and you are looking forward to the season with some of those brilliant new young players, please do put a thumbs up on the video. Let me know down in the comments who you think the best signing is. Are any of them going to flop? Are there any positions I've ignored and left too weak? I'm really interested to get your thoughts, but I think we've done a pretty good job here. If you haven't already, subscribe down below and turn those notifications on. You'll get alerts as daily content releases on the channel from this story and the head coach, our journeyman as well. In that one, we'll have our first season at a new club, and it culminates tomorrow in our first domestic cup final in any competition in that career so far. So please do join me tomorrow. I might even get the shirt and tie out, and you can see us live for the first time in a major cup final against big opposition. There's also 2 episodes a week from my Cricket 19 career, as well as a weekly stadium review series too. And finally, my live stream series continues every Tuesday at 10 AM, so if you are free, please do pop along. It's not so much about the game, we get to hang out, have a chat and get to know each other better. And that's always part of the fun, particularly during this difficult time. It's great mentally just to talk to people, so please do come and get involved in the chat. A massive thank you again for your support with this series, this channel and the podcast channel as well. If you're a football fan, I'll put the link in the eye above. Please do go and check out the interviews. They've been brilliant in recent weeks and your support has been absolutely incredible. But a big thanks for watching this one, a Bonanza transfer special. I hope my words at the start weren't wrong. I don't think it disappointed. But let's see if the players can produce on the pitch now. We've got a good squad at the club, and can they deliver against City and Southampton?